more. We do brooding, whereby we have stingless bees, and then we sell at a friendly cost to the society, so that we encourage them, since beekeeping doesn't need a lot of money management in terms of cost. If something goes to the forest, it often the nectar, you get nectar, you sell. You get honey, you sell. And objectives, we say to achieve high production. Since the area is very dry, we need to achieve high production, maximize utilization of resources, whereby space iko kidogo, you need to intercrop crops so that you get high production. Introduce new cropping system, that's multiple, whereby after a crop unaleta ingine. Advantage, obviously, when it's mixed cropping, there must be high production, quality produce, since management diseases is high. Utilization of resources. Within that small piece of land, we have several enterprises. We have vegetables like the dragon fruits. We have fruits like avocado. So utilization of resource is high. Alafu competition, we have competition from small scale farmers, but they don't reach that level we are, since when you compare like planting sunflower, you get in a hole, they put like 5. With us, we put 2. And revenue, we sell honey, sell sunflower oil, sell banana crisps, and processing of fruit juice from the dragon fruits. And we are hoping when avocados will start to produce, we can produce juices. That's what I can say. Thank you.
Our next presenter is the hybrid motorcycle. Are they around? Our next presenter is the Automotive fire extinguisher. Then he will be followed by online Lipan and Pesa by Brian. Next is online Lipan and Pesa.
Just interested on with high production of agricultural products, any chemicals or something like that. It's only about utilizing the space, the small space you have. You put a lot of, you intercrop with various crops like bananas. Instead of putting that space between the bananas, you utilize it. You have already gotten another produce instead of leaving that space. So you're not applying fertilizers or something like that? During planting, like the sunflower, we just apply the same way you plant your even maize. Yeah.
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, my name is Yagon Kipngetich Brian from Department of Computer Science, Forensic. So I'm going to share this Lipan Pesa platform, which is online. Yes, I was saying this one is Lipan Pesa platform. Currently, during this COVID-19 pandemic, we are discouraging the use of online lipa na M-Pesa, we are discouraging cash. So problems about this cash. Yes, problem about cash. They are prone to arithmetic errors, like those balances. You can simply lose it. They are prone of germs and viruses, like currently coronavirus. Also in cash, it's very difficult for you to track expenses. Okay, with this kind of API of mine, its commercial advantages is that it saves on time. It's because in the coding, you reprogram the baby. Number two, it's accurate because everything is done inside coding. It's more convenient because you'll just confirm with your M-Pesa. It's more flexible. It's a user graphical interface, meaning you can interact with it more friendly and it's secure. So generally what we do, we authenticate ourselves through Safaricom Daraja 2.0 portal, where developers, we go there and we try to authenticate ourselves through what we call sandboxes. Those sandboxes, we are provided with what we call consumer key and secret key that I will use in any of my coding to do that transaction online. Generally, or basically, that is example, inside my coding, that is what I will do. It's need a working domain online, because you don't have, you can use port forwarding protocols like Grok. So this is it. I say this user interface because you can see what you want to sell out. You can just enter like this, enter that, and then you see the total there. We have a green button there for the current, what you are saying, the lipa na M-Pesa. When you confirm that button, it gives you this number. You will enter your number and amount to pay, which was 40. Then finally, from your SMS, your phone, you will get that kind of square where you will input your PIN, only PIN, and then the amount is just finished. So what we are targeting is the restaurants, caves, and generally e-commerce application. This one, a summary, it gives out time solution, is confusion, and more of accuracy. So innovators ask is a working domain, and that monitors, because after this we will produce a receipt, so that system and a monitor. Thank you.
Our next presenter is the Automotive Fire Extinguisher.
Good afternoon. My name is Morgan Ogashaki. I present to you a system by the name Automated Fire Extinguishing System. This system is a system that I've designed it to put out the fire automatically. I'll first give you an overview of the classes of fire. Fire has 3 classes. Class A is caused as a result of Class A, as I was saying, it is a result of burning of combustible materials such as mattresses. Class B is a result of electric current, which is caused by electric current. Class C is a result of, Class B is a result of flammable liquids such as petroleum. Class C is a result of electrical currents. The way you put out Class A is different from the way you put out the other classes. Class A, you only use pressurized water. You use pressurized water and carbon dioxide. Class B, you only use carbon dioxide. You can't use pressurized water because flammable liquids are less dense than water. Therefore, the flammable liquid will float and the fire will continue burning. For Class C, you first withdraw the current. After withdrawing the current, you can use pressurized water or carbon dioxide. I'll give you the capabilities of the system. The system can detect smoke, can detect gas leak. In case of a gas leak, you are advised not to switch on the lights because there will be production of sparks leading to fire outbreak. The system can identify a human being through Raspberry cameras, and then it can autonomously extinguish the fire. And it will also, if there is a person in the room, the system will alert the person to leave the room by use of sirens. In case the system detects any gas leak in the room, the first step this system will do, it will first put out the lights of from the main system, and then it will identify the person in the room. It will alert the person to leave the room. Then it will send an SMS to the person who is not in the room to take further precautions, and then to release pressurized water, which will slightly react with the methane gas, reducing the chances of explosions. In case there is a threat of fire outbreak as a result of Class A type of fire, which results from burning of combustible materials, the smoke sensors will detect the smoke, and then the next system is to allow the person in the room to leave, and then shut down the lights, then use pressurized water. Then the system will switch from pressurized water to carbon dioxide, which is more efficient after the person has left the room. Yeah, that's the presentation.
Our next presenter is Florence, who is a complete new. Then Florence will be followed by mobile payment system.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Florence Momobia from the Department of Food Science. My innovation is about production of complete meat from the indigenous and utilized local foods. Okay, the problem of the innovation in Meru and in Kenya, and particularly in Meru, we produce a lot of bananas, where most people use the bananas as a fruit, and then they integrate the green banana. And then the other part of integration is some people have used the banana crisps, which has not entered the market. The other type of the underutilized food is the moringa aloe vera, where most people use it as a source of medicinal, as a medicinal product, and then it's neglected as a food item. And then the other item I'm going to use is the is the gourd, the fig gourd leaves, which just grow just in the compound, and then they are neglected for the exotic source of vegetation. Okay, what this innovation is going to do, we are going to use that underutilized, and then we are going to produce a very complete meal, which means the meal is well balanced with the bodybuilding, where the protein will be, or the bodybuilding will have the source of the moringa aloe vera. The banana will cater for the starch. The fig gourd leaf will cater for the minerals and the minerals and the vitamins. Okay, okay. These are the produce that I'm going. These are the food items that I'm going to use, and then there's also this summary of the innovation. In this innovation, we find where there is perishability, we bring in the technology where you are able to preserve the perishable goods, and then you earn the value where you can use it during the drought season. And then here you harvest your banana, you harvest the food item, and then you preserve through the dry, and then from that you crush them, and then you into powder form, like this one now, it's in powder. And then you do the ratios where you make the ratio of the banana, and those are the food items, and then you have this complete food. Okay, this food has been preheated so that you cater for the pathogenic part where it is. The only thing you do after you get the food, you reconstitute with hot water, and then it will be ready to eat. The unique advantage of the innovation, the complete meal will provide the nutrients, the extended shelf life of otherwise perishable and indigenous foods, and then there is no complete meal prepared for the indigenous foods that can be reconstituted. Even today there is none. The problem will solve the perishability due to prolong the shelf life, and then you present a product that can be consumed at the time of drought, and then present a value-added product that can fetch more money. Then the alternative technologies use either the fresh or eat as a fruit or the ripened, and then that is my budget. Okay, on my budget, maybe I'm working on the sensory. I wish to patent my innovation, and also yes. My names are Florence, and my innovator or my mentor is Joshua Remy. Thank you. Any question?
We have corporate questions for all the presenters. So we get the questions after we have finished presenting. Okay. Our next presenter is mobile payment.
Good afternoon. I'm Victor Kipto, and he's Kennedy Kimathi. Today we are presenting for you a solution in a commerce industry. Our society has adopted the e-commerce method of making payment using the mobile payment verification system. So in our commerce sector, we have, from our research, we have just noticed that there is a problem in verification of payment made by the customer using the mobile verification system. Our market has adopted this method of making payments, where you use your phone to make the payments. However, in dealing in a group where you have to deal with a large number of customers, say 200 customers or 100 customers in a time, like supermarket or even restaurants. So the cashier will have a very hard time verifying the payment which has been made through the like M-Pesa or any other mobile transaction method being used. So we are coming up with an hardware solution to solve this problem. So the specific problem we are solving is to reduce the level of queuing such that you will not have to queue for you to be served. So it will reduce this level of queuing. Also, it will entail you privacy, whereby currently when the current use method is when you have to verify payment, you have to show the cashier this is the amount of money I've paid. So in showing that message, you have your level of privacy is you are not entitled to the privacy. So we are solving this problem of privacy. Also, we are increasing the number of customers being dealt with at a time. So how we do this is coming up with an hardware system which will extract the exact information of, let's say, the M-Pesa message. So we are using a microcontroller to extract this message, extract the important information from the message, like who has paid the payment, at what time, and the amount of money has paid. So we are using a Raspberry microcontroller to extract this information. After the exact information has been extracted, so the output of the decision made by the microcontroller is to print out the exact amount and the data which I have explained in a thermoprinter receipt. So the receipt printed out will be that amount of money you have just paid. So this time of processing the data will be very minimal. The exact time you just pay is the exact time, just a minimal time, the receipt will print out. So the cashier will just, or you yourself, will be able to hand over the receipt that shows that the payment has been made. So we will be able to have solved the problem of queuing, so you don't need to queue or show the cashier the payment you have made. So that's our solution in this project. So our ask in this innovation, before that is how we commercialize our project. So we are planning to sell this our project to these e-commerce businesses who have adopted this method of payment, like these supermarket, restaurants, and the other shops who deal with the large number of customers. So what we ask for this innovation is funds to market our project, to patent, and create more of such solutions. Thank you.
We have 3 more presenters, then we will have the questions. So please note your questions down, because we will have a one-time off moment. The effects of wavelength on maturity. 5 minutes. Is the press guys around?
Hello everyone. So in front of you is me, Mother Wanjiku, and my friend Alex. We are presenting a proposal of smart farming system, whereby the problem statement is that agricultural sustainability is limited by several factors. That is farmland size, farm accessibility, increased industrialization rates, climate change, and all those have led to a high demand of food in our country. And also the solution, we have come up with a solution whereby we shall be using a lighting system in a room, whereby in the room we shall grow crops, and the room shall be having enough ventilations. So the plants will grow very well, just similar to the ones that are planted outside.
So yeah, let me take up from that point, starting with the image of what we have been working on. The idea here is to determine what wavelength is good for crop growth and maturity index determination. But why did we need to take up that idea? When you look at the compartment there are a number of things. Inside, we have some light, we have crops grown in some bags, then we have some components. We have something called ESP32 sensor control unit, and we have some algorithm there showing power supply unit, microcontroller unit, and growth light wavelengths. Outside here, we have two images of crops taken from different light wavelengths. This is the system we are proposing to give to farmers, and in the system, we are targeting the need for food production today and in the future that ever comes. People are growing crops, population is increasing, and we depend on agriculture for sustainability and survival. Are you able to do farming from home? Are you able to do farming from Nairobi? Are you able to do farming from Meru town? Or do you need to go to the countryside for you to access food? We want to solve this long-term problem. And what is the main problem here? If you are to do farming in this room, there are things you need to consider. And the important ingredient in growth progress is the subject of light. We have artificial light. We don't all time need to depend on the natural light. So if we could be able to determine the right wavelength that a particular crop needs and maybe build a sensor which regulates the quality of the light, that's the wavelength, and its intensity, then you can tell farmers this our system can be adopted at all scales, from urban areas to the countryside. So that's the main agenda. And so this is part of the work we have been doing from the lab, and we got this kind of results, and the effect we are seeing here is light wavelength influence or affect the growth progress of crops. That is essentially the main idea. So we have a number of things in our system. We need farmers to be able to see how the crops are faring. So you might need an eye in the farm or in your compartment. Okay, we have the Raspberry Pi, which does the hard work of bringing the farm to your eye, from either through internet or through internet or maybe mobile phone. It can do all that job for you. So I'll not go to the details of the system, but as you can see from the beginning, it can be powered using solar. You don't all time need electricity, very cheap and a small amount of power that you need. And consider our system, that's what I've projected. These are beds. We have a bed down, up, and you can erect the beds in a way such that if you have two of these tables placed on top of each other, what have you done? You have increased the surface area for farm plant, okay? So we are targeting at a number of things. Before I come to this part, we have, this system can be employed in a number of ways. Traditionally, if you are to grow outside, maybe in a greenhouse, and here we are assuming the greenhouse takes care of the conditions inside, the conditions necessary for the growth of the particular crop. So then you can have a number of these compartments put in some configuration, so you increase the surface area for production. In a small piece like just greenhouse, you produce what you used to produce from the floor or one surface in multiples. Now suppose you're not in a greenhouse and you're in a room like this where temperature is not controlled, the light intensity is not monitored, humidity is not monitored, we might need control. Sensor technology will be employed, and once that is in place, we assure that the crop grows, the particular crop grows with effectiveness, and it will give the desired yield. Again, before I proceed, we are now dealing with the canopy of the crops, maybe on the leaves. Yes, we might need to know about the fruits.
Next is the PET guys, then we finish by the hybrid motorcycle.
Good evening. As they are looking for that, I'm Everton.
And
Yes.
Maston Zonguri.
And yes, Norman. So we are working on biodegradation of plastic by a bacteria by the name Idonelia sakaiensis. And since exposure of plastics or use of plastics cause a pollution to the environment, and that's the problem, pollution, because when you use a plastic, there's no any other appropriate method of disposing the plastics. Therefore, we expose the plastics to environment, which cause pollution to the environment, and therefore there was much need to come up with a solution, which is introducing a bacteria that's Idonelia sakaiensis to degrade the plastic. And the bacteria works upon plastic by various mechanisms. That's by use of the two enzymes, that's PETase and MHETase. The PETase enzyme break down the plastic into PET, which again being broken down by MHETase to MHET. And now after the MHET, the enzyme will work on that, and the end product produced will be glycol and terephthalic acid. And now the glycol, which is a product of, or it is a nutrient which is being taken up by the bacteria as a sole energy producer. And now the terephthalic acid undergo several mechanisms, which is again exposed to the environment after the breakdown as a source of carbon dioxide.
Okay, on the competitive advantage, we have the Idonelia sakaiensis. That is the bacteria we want to come up with to degrade the plastics. It is environmental friendly as compared to chemical and mechanical process, of which the current method which are used to degrade the plastics, where you find the plastics are being collected and then burnt. And the process, there is that emission of CO2 gas, which leads to global warming, that brings about the health hazards like the respiratory diseases. And then on the risk, the production of the bacteria requires specific culturing techniques which are not common. In terms of culturing apparatus, we have the culturing media, the laboratory conditions which are needed to be set up. And innovators we are asking for funding to come up with a bacteria which we will use to degrade the plastics in the field setup. Thank you.
Let's have our last presenters before the questions. Then we'll have the Nairobi technical guest addressing us after the final after the questions. So we are having the hybrid motorcycle present their presentation, after which we will take the questions.
So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Caroline Wangoi, fourth year student taking BCT. And
My name is Grace Wanjiro Kamande. I'm a fourth year student taking BCT too.
Okay, so the title of our project is a cost-effective green-powered motorcycle. And we have a few problems at hand. Number one, most motorcycles currently, they run on fuel. And as we all know, fuel right now, their prices keep going higher and higher, and they are very unstable. The second thing is the air pollution that is caused by the fuel emissions currently. We also have noise pollution with the engines that keep powering these fuel motorcycles. There's so much noise emitted by the motorcycles currently. And also, the motorcycles are at a risk of contracting skin diseases since they're always exposed to sunlight, and sometimes they can be rained on when it's raining. So we have a solution to this problem. We were thinking, why don't we have a motorcycle that is fixed or mounted with a solar panel at the top. So with this, we can, since we are bringing a green solution to the environment, we see that since we are eliminating the fuel, we won't have emissions. We won't have emissions in the environment, and therefore we'll be doing our environment a great favor. Number two, we won't be using an engine. We'll be using a motor instead, and therefore the noise will be reduced. And mounting the solar panel at the top will actually help the motorcyclists have a shade on top of them. So when it's really sunny or when it's raining, these guys won't be rained on. Neither will the sun, infect their skin or something like that.
So I'll talk about the opportunity that this project will bring. One, we see that in this border industry, there are over 100,000 motorcyclists, and we will have a very large market to be able to convert the fuel bikes to solar bikes. Another opportunity that we have is that we can create manufacturing industries which will be able to employ a lot of people who will be able to customize those bikes into solar bikes. So the risk and mitigation of this project is that what will happen when there is no sun in the sky, when there is a cloudy sky, or when it's raining. So the way we have mitigated this risk is that the battery that we'll be using in the solar bike will be able to store charge, which will run to up to 70 kilometers. So, and it can be charged electrically when there is no solar energy. Yeah, that's all.
Questions to the presenters can, those who have presented, they can all stand there so that they ask questions. All the presenters, like all that have presented, so that somebody can point you out as well.
I think from Karuma, anybody beyond that, for the lady from Karuma, I think we asked for a question. Just with anybody after you. So that we can remember. The day in a line. Yes, we'll start with Jaya.
Guy in white shirt. I can't remember the name. Technology. So I like what you did, that the angle that you come with it's a little bit different. So why don't you create your own API and you sell it out instead of going to Lipa and Pesa? Presently, Safaricom just released their M-Pesa app. And I think that's a market that you cannot compete right now. It's very much grown because the company itself is doing that. and that leads you to revenue streams. Why don't you build your own API, sell to people who want to link maybe their e-commerce platform or any of their services to M-Pesa?
I'll do that.
Do you think it's a good business?
Yes.
You think it's a good business for you?
Yes, I
Yeah,
do.
because I've seen you can do something and do something like that.
Thank you, Jacob. Anybody else with a question to any of the presenters?
Yes, thank you. My question is directed to the team that was working on the greenhouse system for the light wavelength. Actually, that's where the world is going, what they are calling food factories. Instead of planting growers in the farm, planting factories. But have you got about it? In Africa, we have enough sunlight. We really need to start introducing light. We need only to open up the building and have sufficient light. We really need to introduce artificial light.
Yes, there is much necessity for that. We can start at maybe this point. Think of people living at Meru town or Nairobi. What guarantee do we have there they are consuming clean sukuma wiki? What is causing the problem with the produce we're having at the towns? That's an important thing to think about. And so to solve that, we can build confidence on what we are consuming. You'll be able to have farming from limited pieces of land. Number two, we are not just solving a present problem, we are also focusing on the future. As you are saying, it's the way to go. And that tells us in a number of years to come, we will need to practice farming from almost everywhere. And there's something we cannot stop, the industrialization. It's coming and Africa is developing. We also have things to do with climate change. Diseases are coming, and from outside, there is also a limitation. From scientific perspective, there is a absorption of energy by crops. That imbalance has that imbalance in the intensities that the crop receives from a scientific viewpoint has issues to do with some photosynthetic and photosystem processes, and that leads to affecting the yield we have even from open fields. This is what we are proposing. If we have a small portion that we can crop, and we have artificial source of light, which does exactly what the natural light does, then this is what will happen. Since we have monitored the quantity and the intensity, and we subject the crop to the expected amount of time that it should be in the light environment, we expect optimum yield. Because one, there will be no production of, from agriculture as you call it, the production of the reactive oxygen species. That thing has issues to do with what? Photosynthesis and photosystems. That is the science. Still, we are not wasting the energy when we are doing that, because we have, with the advancement in technology, this kind of light growth LEDs, they have been produced. So our job would be to build a sensor technology that can tell us if this wavelength has to be used at a fixed point, then that can be applied. But suppose we are outside, or we want to do farming where there are variations in things like temperature, humidity, and those other factors. Those might affect the amount of light intensity that is desired. Can we be able to regulate the current in the bulbs? If possible, then that is the end system that we are hoping to build. Our previous experiment has shown us some good results.
Any other question? Yes, go ahead.
Mine is not a question, it's just a clarification from the team which was doing fire extinguisher. Yes, occupational health and safety is very important in our homes, starting from our kitchen. So I don't know, what are you thinking? Are you thinking of fire extinguisher in big institution or even in the community? Everywhere. So how will you cascade that? How would you cascade that to the community at an affordable and accessible? Because we know, everybody knows about fire extinguisher, but including in my house, I don't have a fire extinguisher.
Now, this system is quite expensive. I'm afraid because some people may not afford it. But those people who have apartments will be able to afford it.
Yeah, what I'm thinking, what I maybe think is that, can you come up with a solution which will help the common person who has invested 1 million to do a house, protect that house against fire. Because we know the Chinese way is that you can have fire detectors which are connected to the lighting system, you get, even to the solar panel. So I'm thinking probably we should make your work look a bit simple and affordable to everyone. Let's not think of very big things. We can start with small things and escalate them, upscale them to bigger things.
Joseph?
Okay, thank you. My question goes to a friend who has talked about wavelength and light in agriculture. Greenhouses seem to do the same thing, and more or less a little bit cheaply.
You're saying the greenhouse seem to do the same thing?
Yes.
Well, no, not exactly. What happens in the greenhouse, we just work on assumptions that the conditions are controlled. Inside this room, we are seeing there's light, okay?
Yeah.
In the greenhouse, there'll be a cover.
Yes.
So the question we're asking is, inside the greenhouse, is the particular crop receiving the desired wavelength of light? That's number one. Number two, in case of varying environmental conditions, inside the greenhouse, if you enter any greenhouse around there, now you might sweat a lot because of the temperatures in there. We might need to control those temperatures. Do these temperatures have influence on the crop for the given wavelength of light? In short, what is the standard temperature that's desired for a particular crop to grow in a given environment? What's the desired humidity? So the point is, even in the greenhouse, we are not so sure that light intensity that we have here, the natural light, is enough, or it's too high than it's desired. And so there's need to investigate this wavelength. And if we have the standard one, this is more scientific, we have the standard light that we can say, given these conditions of the environment, this is the wavelength you need for this crop. That's kind of a sensor system we are proposing, right? And so the farmer would be confident enough. It's not just going to the greenhouse, you put your crops, since they are green, you assume they are right. They might be stressed up in a way, and only that the condition is not visible to your eyes. So we are going to a sense where you can be able to regulate the conditions, so that if you are going traditionally, then you should be able to trust your crops using the traditional means. But there is the technology inside which is taking control of the greenhouse, not the traditional means of looking at crops and you assume they are good because they are in greenhouse. It's a bad assumption.
Okay, so you are trying to think of a system where this light is supplied, because if one plant may obstruct the other plants from receiving that same wavelength of light you're talking about, you look at it from a perspective where the same wavelength of light reaches all the plants, even if it is a big plantation that is commercialized. You are talking of maybe a big bulb or small bulbs put in the shelf that you're talking about all over. Well, it is possible, but somehow for its marketability, you look at it, say you have a farmer, an ordinary farmer, all that scale of technology, for it to be sustainable enough, maybe it might even require the expertise. I think maybe those are elements you might consider in your idea.
Sure, but it's not something to worry us much about the cost of the system, because when we are doing farming, there are a number of consider. What is my input? What do I expect as the output? Also, we also consider the long-term effect of how you'll be doing the sort of farming. If you purchase our system once, you don't need someone to be doing that manual job for you. The control, taking the system out of the farm. If you bought it once, yours is to have the crops and let the system do the job for you. Okay? So you can purchase a system once and it serves you the job that you used to pay 10,000 to 5 people for 3 years. You have saved a lot. Yeah.
Let's appreciate them. We are having our last speaker, that's Joseph from the technical, so that we can finish up on what we expect to them. And we will give him some minutes.
Thank you.
We want to enable, create an environment for the learners with special need to be able to learn with ease, access education opportunities, business opportunities, and live a dignified life. How do we do that? We first give knowledge and skills and work on the perception and the attitude of the society about persons living with challenges related to their physical frame. And in these specific terms, we are talking about learners, children, who are our subject.
And we want to empower them. We want to bring them out from the hidden places in the society, and we want to show the world that people enabled differently or people living with physical disability can achieve it. And through CNET, we will reach them.
When we started the research, our plan was to start by training trainers of trainers. So we identified our students from Meru University of Science and Technology, and Kenya Methodist University, and Murang'a University. And these students, we have trained them, and they are quite competent now. And so the intention of training these students was so that they can help us to train the teachers in the selected schools. We have also trained them on how to fabricate some of our technologies so that we don't have to import all the time, and basic handwear skills. So when they visit the schools, they train the teachers, but if there is any networking or handwear problem, anything malfunctioning, then they also correct the problems, they troubleshoot. And then from the TOTs now have helped us to train the teachers. And so with the teachers having the skills on our technologies, they can now train the students, the pupils. And that has been done because we are not trained to teach pupils at that level. So you see, we needed that link from the TOTs to the teachers and then to the pupils. And that has been done in these schools.
Through CNET Academy, we actually appreciate this good initiative and innovation. I hope it is going to reach the long-forgotten learners who have physical disabilities.
Shukrani sana kwa wale wametuletea hizi computers na watoto wamezifurahia sana.
They're able to access secondary schools and they're able to acquire technical skills that will empower them economically and socially. So that once they finish school, they're able either to equip themselves, to employ themselves, or to be employed by anyone, the government or any other person.
We expect that when the school comes back to normalcy, again the students that we have trained, they will assist us in training other students in order so that we make CNET not really being a project but something that is big enough that can be adopted in any part of the country.
We want to enable, create an environment for the learners with special need to be able to learn with ease, access education opportunities, business opportunities, and live a dignified life. How do we do that? We first give knowledge and skills and work on the perception and the attitude of the society about persons living with challenges related to their physical frame. And in these specific terms, we are talking about learners, children, who are our subject.
And we want to empower them. We want to bring them out from the hidden places in the society, and we want to show the world that people enabled differently or people living with physical disability can achieve it. And through CNET, we will reach them.
When we started the research, our plan was to start by training trainers of trainers. So we identified our students from Meru University of Science and Technology, and Kenya Methodist University, and Murang'a University. And these students, we have trained them, and they are quite competent now. And so the intention of training these students was so that they can help us to train the teachers in the selected schools. We have also trained them on how to fabricate some of our technologies so that we don't have to import all the time, and basic handwear skills. So when they visit the schools, they train the teachers, but if there is any networking or handwear problem, anything malfunctioning, then they also correct the problems, they troubleshoot. And then from the TOTs now have helped us to train the teachers. And so with the teachers having then the skills on our technologies, they can now train the students, the pupils. And that has been done because we are not trained to teach pupils at that level. So you see, we needed that link from the TOTs to the teachers and then to the pupils. And that has been done in these schools.
Through CNET Academy, we actually appreciate this good initiative and innovation. I hope it is going to reach the long-forgotten learners who have physical disabilities.
Shukrani sana kwa wale wametuletea hizi computers na watoto wamezifurahia sana.
They're able to access secondary schools and they're able to acquire technical skills that will empower them economically and socially. So that once they finish school, they're able either to equip themselves, to employ themselves, or to be employed by anyone, the government or any other person.
We expect that when the school comes back to normalcy, again, the students that we have trained, they will assist us in training other students in order so that we make CNET not really being a project, but something that is big enough that can be adopted in any part of the country.
We want to create an environment for the learners with special need to be able to learn with ease, access education opportunities, business opportunities, and live a dignified life. How do we do that? We first give knowledge and skills and work on the perception and the attitude of the society about persons living with challenges related to their physical frame. And in these specific terms, we are talking about learners, children, who are our subject.
And we want to empower them. We want to bring them out from the hidden places in the society, and we want to show the world that people enabled differently or people living with physical disability can achieve it. And through CNET, we will reach them.
When we started the research, our plan was to start by training trainers of trainers. So we identified our students from Meru University of Science and Technology, and Kenya Methodist University, and Murang'a University. And these students, we have trained them, and they are quite competent now. And so the intention of training these students was so that they can help us to train the teachers in the selected schools. We have also trained them on how to fabricate some of our technologies so that we don't have to import all the time, and basic hardware skills. So when they visit the schools, they train the teachers, but if there is any networking or hardware problem, anything malfunctioning, then they also correct the problems, they troubleshoot. And then from the TOTs now have helped us to train the teachers. And so with the teachers having the skills on our technologies, they can now train the students, the pupils. And that has been done because we are not trained to teach pupils at that level. So you see, we needed that link from the TOTs to the teachers and then to the pupils. And that has been done in these schools.
Through Senate Academy, we actually appreciate this good initiative and innovation. I hope it is going to reach the long-forgotten learners who have physical disabilities.
Shukrani sana kwa wale wametuletea hizi computers na watoto wamezifurahia sana.
They're able to access secondary schools and they're able to acquire technical skills that will empower them economically and socially. So that once they finish school, they're able either to equip themselves, to employ themselves, or to be employed by anyone, the government or any other person.
We expect that when the school comes back to normalcy, again, the students that we have trained, they will assist us in training other students in order so that we make CNET not really being a project, but something that is big enough that can be adopted in any part of the country.
We want to create an environment for the learners with special need to be able to learn with ease, access education opportunities, business opportunities, and live a dignified life. How do we do that? We first give knowledge and skills and work on the perception and the attitude of the society about persons living with challenges related to their physical frame. And in these specific terms, we are talking about learners, children, who are our subject.
And we want to empower them. We want to bring them out from the hidden places in the society, and we want to show the world that people enabled differently or people living with physical disability can achieve it. And through CNET, we will reach them.
When we started the research, our plan was to start by training trainers of trainers. So we identified our students from Meru University of Science and Technology, and Kenya Methodist University, and Murang'a University. And these students, we have trained them, and they are quite competent now. And so the intention of training these students was so that they can help us to train the teachers in the selected schools. We have also trained them on how to fabricate some of our technologies so that we don't have to import all the time, and basic hardware skills. So when they visit the schools, they train the teachers, But if there is any networking or hardware problem, anything malfunctioning, then they also correct the problems, they troubleshoot. And then from the TOTs now have helped us to train the teachers. And so with the teachers having the skills on our technologies, they can now train the students, the pupils. And that has been done because we are not trained to teach pupils at that level. So you see, we needed that link from the TOTs to the teachers and then to the pupils. And that has been done in these schools.
Through Senate Academy, we actually appreciate this good initiative and innovation. I hope it is going to reach the long-forgotten learners who have physical disabilities.
Shukrani sana kwa wale wametuletea hizi computers na watoto wamezifurahia sana.
They're able to access secondary schools and they're able to acquire technical skills that will empower them economically and socially. So that once they finish school, they're able either to equip themselves, to employ themselves, or to be employed by anyone, the government or any other person. All the way from Nairobi Technical, that's a huge sacrifice. Please, let's clap for him. And also, let's clap for Brian and the Genesis team. They also came from Nairobi. And of course, there are others who joined us virtually. We've received very many representations from that site. And our very own Ken J here from Dedan Kimathi. I just want to give Ken 1 minute or two to give a brief remark. I know you're going to Nyeri and it's a weekend. Nitasimama hapa.
Simama tu hapa ndio nisikae sana. Hi guys. Hi. Leo tuna energy. How are you? Ko sawa? Let me say I'm very happy to be here. I wanted to actually say something about building an MVP, but we don't have much time. I know we can still connect virtually so that I can share what I know, because we need to build each other, grow each other, and help each other. Is it? So I've seen your presentations, and for sure you have good ideas. Maybe the presentation, but then niko hapa kuambia watu kweli.
Si ndio?
Msikie vibaya sana. The slides, the presentation, we need to work on it if you are to compete in a startup environment. Mtu ana complain of 5 minutes. Everywhere that we present in 3 minutes. That includes the demo and everything. So you need to also start training on that. Make sure that when you stand in front of people, in front of investors, in any hackathon, in any competition, presentation competition, you can be able to deliver within 3 minutes, and also do a good demo that everyone will understand. Are we together?
Yes.
So that's very important. That's something that if you guys can organize, one day can join virtually and help train on that, because that's something that's very important when you're doing presentation. You've already started. The first decision was to decide to start innovating. So you also like to present. You cannot see it with your presentation. So one thing that I want to say about what you're doing, most of you are at the idea stage, which is very nice. So the next thing will be to move to build a minimum viable product. When you build the first product, like Paul and Irene, just take it out there let people give you the feedback. You don't need to wait for a long time. You have a very complete product. Just take the product to the users, let them advise you what they would want. Because that's the mistake that we make. We want to build a product to be perfect, to be the best thing that we have in our mind. But actually that's not what is needed. I'll give an example with Facebook, and I'll also give an example with Amazon. Amazon started as a book selling website where people who wanted different books and they could not access them, they could just download them from the internet. But that's what that guy Bezos thought. That was all that Amazon was. But when he took it out, people started saying, can I also get maybe some coffee? Can I get maybe a cup? You see, users tell you what they think. So the two things that you need to hold tightly is the solution that you are offering. No, the customer and the product that you have. But the solution, make it a little bit loose. Don't be rigid. What the customers will tell you, the customers will not change, and the product that you have will not change. But the solution that you're giving them will change at some point according to what they tell you. A good example, tuseme unataka kutengeneza nyundo ya kuvunja ukuta. The first thing you do, utengeneze wooden. Watu wenye utauzia, your customer atakuwa fundi wa mawe. Is it? So this person will not change. The second thing, solution yako ni kitu itavunja ukuta. That thing will not change. But now when you take a wooden one to the fundi, atakwambia no, hii haiwezi vunja hapa. So you'll have to go back and iterate. Uchange, utengeneze ya chuma. Is it? So the most important thing, the first thing that you build, take it to the person mwenye you are targeting. They'll give you the information that you need, which is very important. Because you're not building that product for yourself, you're building it for someone else. Then don't be rigid. So that's why we are saying let the solution be a little bit loose. Inaweza change. Amekwambia a wooden thing cannot break this, so can you try and maybe use a wooden handle, and pale mbele you have something like steel. You see, your solution will change a little bit, but what it's doing the solution will still be the same, yes, but the product that you're building will change. I hope hata nikijimix hivyo bado mnaelewa what I'm saying. I want to drive this point home. The point that I want to bring home is talk to your users. That's the last message that I want to leave. The people that you're building that product for know what they want more than you know. The first Facebook that we saw is not the same thing that we have today. Things change because hata ukiingia mahali hata WhatsApp inakwambia update, because people they see new things that zina come up every time, si ndio? That's why lazima usikize kenye users wako wanasema, and don't be afraid to take maybe something that you think it's of low quality to a customer. They'll give you genuine feedback. And don't use your friends and family as your first users. Hao watakudanganya. Kwanza ukienda kwa mama yako, atakwambia mtoto wangu umefanya vizuri sana. Take it to a stranger, mtu mwenye hata kubembeleza, atakwambia mimi siwezi nunua hiki kitu, toa hapa. You see, that is the genuine person. Are we together? Yeah. Your friends pale kwa hostel, they will not tell you the truth because they want to boost your morale. Wakwambia endelea. Watu watakuweka kwa giza vibaya sana. Avoid. Enda pale kwa msee wa boda ujaiona. Buda niko na hii staff. Atakwambia umuondolee ujinga. Na huyo ndiye msee unafaa kusikiza. You see? Are we together?
Yeah.
So I'm happy to be in Meru University. Thank you so much. You've been such a great audience. Kwaherini.
Thank you, Kenneth. Kenneth Nje here works at Dedan Kimathi University. He heads the D Hub, the Dedan Kimathi Innovation Hub. We've worked with him for several years, connection with Kwanza. We've been judges, like last month, we were judging the Kwanza Israel competition. It was a competition between Kenya and Israel, and we were among the panelists doing the judging for the presentations. So when I tell you guys, we listen to you, we only give you 3 minutes. If you, kama hakuna kitu umetuambia in 3 minutes, hata tukikupea 15 minutes, hakuna kitu utatuambia. So learn to compact your presentation within 3 minutes. You've told us what you're doing and you've demonstrated it to us, good. Then you can ask your questions. But with more training, we are going to be doing more training so that we improve on how you do things. I've been getting feedbacks also from people who are watching us online, and we have viewers even from as far as US and UK. I've received an email while I was sitting there. There's some people we are meeting in the next 15 minutes online, and they are so impressed in what we are doing. But of course, even locally, very quick ones I've received is about our dress code and our language. Some of us are looking shabby, you know, dressing bana. Hata kama uko na shati moja, hakikisha iko sawa, si ndio? I'm not saying you go buy expensive clothing, but look presentable. Your hair, your dressing, and your language. And these are things that we need to really work on if you are to sell out yourself as a product and also then sell your product. Okay? So I want to thank all of you for really being so patient with us. We've had a huge following on social media, and we'll keep on doing this going forward because every day, Isaac, our highest views were, okay?
Yes.
Views is our YouTube, the highest per day?
300.
300. You can imagine?
Yeah,
380. So if you are seated here, 380 people, you can imagine. Yeah, so we might look few, but there are lots and lots of people watching this and watching again and again and again. So we will keep on doing this. And I want to really thank the media team. It will begin Makofi. They have done a good job, and we are really grateful, Isaac and your team, and Prof and the rest of the students for being with us, Titus, Tobias and Rogers, and of course the catering department. They have really taken good care of us, and we are really, really grateful for that. I want now to bring our director to us to give a few highlights of the way forward, because of course you know what we had indicated in our call, and give us the direction on what's next and what happens next week. Because if I may give a hint, we expect you again next week here. Of course not every day, but the next week Friday we will expect the innovators here. Because the University Council will be coming over. We've spoken through the office of the VC, and all that you've been showcasing needs to be seen by the topmost management of this institution so that it can inform the requests that we are just about to make and the direction we are going to make as a directorate. And we will have a hearing with them. So for those who are working on prototypes, I need you to polish them up. For those who have ideas, we need you to create, if it's a poster presentation like what Professor did here, or a diagram or smaller products that you have to showcase. The entire first floor now is dedicated to all your work. And as I sit, I want to bring the director to give his remarks and the direction we are going to take with regards to the call. And then Tobias will do a closing prayer, then we'll disperse.
Sasa. Okay.
Good evening. Thank you very much, Dr. Chege, Professor, and the team, the MAST team behind this Innovation Week. Mine will be very brief, just like Dr. Chege has said, that we really don't want this week or this Innovation Week to end here. We want to domain it in the university calendar. So we anticipate that from next year, we will be doing these Innovation Weeks, but through the schools first. We will see how to structure that. We will have schools Innovation Weeks, also research weeks that will culminate to this final Innovation Week. Just like you know, we are part of the calendar of the National Innovation Week, which will be happening at Kenya. That is Kenya National Investment Agency, between 6th and 12th December. So we want to be part of this process, and we want to domain this within the university structures. So just like you've heard, we want this to be very serious, and therefore starting now, all this first floor, we will always be dedicating it for prototypes, the innovations that are ready. Meaning, we are moving to the next phase, which we are calling incubation. And within the incubation center, most of your asks will be met, because this is where you will be given money and funding and grants to refine what is there, because we said that our aim is to take the best ones to the market. What we are saying, commercialization. If you see the way the Innovation Center is structured, the room which we were using as the dining room should be your final pitch, where we bring investors, angel investors, for the ones that are ready. Either they can be bought or either they can be funded. We are really also trying to talk to the management to structure within their master plan the industrial park. If you go to very serious hubs, we have industrial parks. Industrial parks mean that if your prototype is very ready and the university sees the need to invest in it, or any investor can come in, we will start it here small scale. So there is enough land here, and this is the direction that we want to take. So just like Dr. Chege has said, we are starting very strong, and next week our council is coming to have their meeting, but the first agenda will be to see now the prototypes. So this takes me to the next stage. I know we are anxious. This was sort of a motivation where we were trying to compete and see the best ones so that we can pick the best ones and move them to the next level. But I want to assure you that this is a movement. There is no one who is going to be left behind. So we want to structure this place in 3 phases. The first is the ideation, where if you have a very good idea, you come, we train you. You've heard as you're pitching, you're being told very many things. What is the business model behind it? Have you patented it? Have you done all this? Needs training. It needs refinement. And therefore, all this will be happening at the ideation phase. Then we will escalate it to now the phase that we have done. So this was to jumpstart the process. We will escalate the good ones, and specifically the ones that you are told you must have something, a prototype. Are we communicating? Something working. A prototype is simply a working model, something that you can show, something that you can pitch to investors, something that you can pitch to the management so that they can invest in it. And then the last phase is what we are calling commercialization. So we want this process to be seamless and continuous. And therefore, from now you're going to see a series of events, and we want to thank you very much for heeding the call and participating. It has been awesome, and we believe that the momentum is not going to stop. I want to thank, seriously, our team of colleagues, researchers, Professor Aremi, and the others for mentoring the young innovators. And also we are saying, Professor, now we want to invest in you. We want to invest in researchers. We want this message to go outside there so that all the researchers that can turn into startups, let's push them forward. So we thank you very much, and we expect all the ready prototypes, because for you they are ready, to showcase them to the council so that it can fast track our requests and asks. Okay? So I want again to thank you very much. So you've seen some of you have done their presentations now, and it wouldn't be fair to leave them out in the judging. Are we together? So we want to request you to be patient until next week. By Monday, we are going to announce the ones who won. I've said everybody won, and meaning we are not going to leave everyone out. Everyone who participated is going to get a certificate? Yes, everybody who participated is going to get a certificate. The winners and also the ones who have not won. And we have to prepare them. So by next week you will get your certificates, and what an honor if you can get them from the council. Are we together? And also, the ones who won the awards, we are going to communicate when, Dr. Chege? Next week on?
Wednesday.
Next week by Wednesday, we will know who won, and we will tell you the mode of how you're going to receive your awards. These are just simple awards because they are not the asks that you requested. So the asks, we want to pitch them to the management and council and see the ones we are going to take to commercialization. So I want to thank you again once more. Without you, this event would not have been successful. And we want you to spread the gospel. You've been good ambassadors, and we want the momentum to escalate, meaning we are not going to stop or slow down anytime soon. So starting now, these are the events. We will de-escalate them down to the school level. So this one will always be the final one. So thank you very much on behalf of the management and on behalf of the council. We are very grateful, and with this, we declare this event over, closed. Thank you very much.
We've been sitting for the whole day. Can we start maybe when we pray? Let us pray. Gracious Master in heaven and earth, we say thank you for this far you brought us. Oh Lord, it has been a good week. We are glad that you have protected us. You've been with us all through the week. Oh Lord, any plans that we have, we put them into our able hand. May you lead us through until the end. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Excuse me, before we all leave, we can do a group photo outside here, okay?